Hey, everybody, welcome back to my podcast talking about everything psychology. I'm your host, Lester Gonzalez, and in this podcast, you will learn more about self improvement, personal growth, success, and how psychology plays a crucial role in our lives. Please give a like and follow, as it will help grow this podcast. And that being said, for today's topic, I want to dive deeper into the psychology of reading and understanding the reading mindset. As a psychology enthusiast, student, and a writer, I definitely enjoy reading, and reading has definitely helped me throughout my lifetime. And, when we think of reading, it is a visual activity that activates our minds to expand and gain more knowledge. The psychological factors of reading often influences our comprehension, interpretation, and perspective. And here are some of the key psychological factors I want to get into in terms of reading. And the first psychological factor I believe is important when reading is motivation. So someone who is motivated to read find great pleasure in gaining more knowledge, education, and perspective through certain texts. And reading can be stress relieving, while also being an activity that helps us find a sense of peace, purpose, and imagination. Both books, articles, or blogs, newsletters, and posts bring a lot of engagement for us readers to take in this type of information given. And new information is often motivating, due to the individual's nature of learning and wanting to gain more knowledge. As readers, we are motivated by the information taken, as it can be something we think about or help guide us throughout everyday life. And the next factor I want to talk about is how reading involves ourselves to be more focused and paying more attention, right? So reading helps us stay away from distractions. And as we read and maintain attention and focus, it allows us to open up within ourselves. The more attention and focus we put into the story, the more engaging we are. And as readers, we understand the benefit a book brings for our own knowledge. This allows us to stay more focused and be able to do an activity that often helps strengthen our mind. And we will never waste a single second when it comes to reading. I know some of us may feel like reading is boring or we don't have time for it, but it is one of the best ways to spend your time. And it will help you stay focused and learn throughout your lifetime. The next psychological factor I find very important when it comes to reading is called visual perception. So as we read, we often visualize. Every word or specific symbol used allows us to visualize the type of expression, story, and message that's being shared by that author. And our visualization skills allow us to picture written text in our heads to figure out what is going on in the story. So this is where our mind comes into play, right? We visualize, we see pictures, and sometimes we try to picture that in our minds. So it's really cool how it all works out. Sometimes our minds will often problem solve and make connections to ourselves as we read. And the more we picture the text in our minds, the easier it is for us to understand and comprehend this story. Which brings me to my next point. With what I just said was comprehension. As a psychological factor, we look at the text and try to understand each word written by that author. And this allows us to integrate our minds in understanding the perspective of certain prompts, quotes, and passages. Every word we read is new information added with existing knowledge. And as we comprehend each text, we utilize the skill called critical thinking. I love critical thinking because it activates our brain to look at other perspectives from the text while finding ways to visualize the story in the long run. Not everyone will visualize stories the same way, which makes the art of reading so fascinating. And reading comprehension involves visualization, overall predicting and questioning and summarizing the text. As readers, this is a skill that produces over time, and as it will continue to help benefit our mindset and knowledge throughout life. The next factor I want to talk about is reading development. So, the psychology of reading helps us understand the skills we develop over time. Reading involves gaining more experience, knowledge, and even expertise. In time, we improve in our reading speed as we, become more efficient. And reading also involves, shared experiences, connections, and comfortable environment, and creating a comfortable environment around those who also love reading. I love spending my time in the library. I get to have a conversation or talk to people that love the same reading interests or genres, and being able to connect with others who also love reading is very, very good. And our minds develop from the authors whom like to share their knowledge with us. And keep in mind, knowledge from other people will help us visualize different perspectives and learn. And this strategy is almost similar when listening to other people, but in written form. Often we communicate or in school we listen to the teachers, but reading is completely different. Everything we learn is from written text, everything we read, and reading development involves constant learning, growth, and improvement to our own lifestyle. The next psychological factor that's very important to understand is metacognition. This is in fact the last factor I want to talk about because metacognition is the ability to be aware of one's own thought process. Most of us readers would utilize the metacognition process when reading. This allows us to understand and monitor the different reading strategies needed. And as a reader, sometimes we will put ourselves in the author's shoes, trying to understand their thinking through written text. Metacognition is a very unique concept because it involves two different minds, ourselves and the author, that are trying to learn and understand each other. So, in other words, we try to put our mindset into the author's mindset when gaining knowledge from their own writing. And reading will boost our metacognition state overall, allowing us to expand our thoughts in life. Overall, the psychology of reading helps improve our skills, our passion and growth, and these psychological factors will help us understand the mind of a reader and the dynamic between mindset and the written text. The more we understand the psychology of reading, the more we will find growth, knowledge, and development within ourselves. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and for more psychology content, stay tuned in this podcast, and please make sure you leave a like, follow, and or subscribe. It will really help me out as I love speaking out my knowledge and mentorship with all of you. That being said, I look forward to growing with all of you. I'll see you all in the next episode, and as always, I wish you all a blessed day.